I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I'm just trying to make sense of what I found out about my fiancée, Emily. We'd been together for nearly 5 years, and I was finally about to marry her. Things seemed perfect, or so I thought. She was smart, beautiful, ambitious, the kind of girl everyone admired. She was also the kind of girl who could be a real bitch when she didn't get her way, but I loved her anyway. We met at work, both climbing the corporate ladder, and I thought we were a good match. She was fiery, confident, a little sarcastic, but she had that charm that made everyone like her. I always knew she had a little edge, but I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. Things had started to feel a little off in the months leading up to the wedding, though. She started canceling plans last minute, lying about work or stress, and I caught her sneaking her phone away more often than usual. I brushed it off at first. Women get busy, right? But then I started noticing her behavior changing. Her phone always with her, even sleeping next to her with it in her hand. One night I was supposed to pick her up after her business trip. She texted me to say she'd be late because she had a meeting with her boss, Mr. Carter. I didn't think much of it at first. I knew she worked late sometimes. But then I saw her message history, and that's when everything started to unravel. The messages weren't just professional. They were flirty, a little too intimate, full of innuendos and inside jokes that didn't make sense for a boss-employee relationship. I remember feeling that cold punch in the stomach, like I'd been punched in the gut. Then came the hotel receipts. I was snooping around her laptop, and I stumbled across a reservation confirmation for a hotel downtown. She booked it for the night of her meeting. My heart skipped a beat. I was trying to hold back the anger, the betrayal swelling up inside me. It wasn't just a fling, it was more than that. It was her secret, and I was pretty sure I knew who she was doing it with, Mr. Carter, her boss. The thought made me want to throw up. I couldn't believe I had missed all the signs, or maybe I just refused to see what was right in front of me. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I found. The messages, the receipts, her texts that kept changing her story. I remember her calling me the next day, trying to act like everything was fine, saying she was just stressed, that she loved me, and that it was a mistake. She insisted they only kissed, that nothing serious happened, that she was sorry for lying, but it meant nothing. Yeah, right. Like I was supposed to believe that after everything I saw. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that maybe she was lying, that maybe she was just trying to cover her ass, but deep down I knew the truth. I'd been naive to think I really knew her. That betrayal lit a fire inside me. Anger, hurt, confusion. I didn't know whether to be furious or heartbroken. All I know is, I was done trusting her. And now I was stuck wondering whether I should call it off entirely or try to hear her out and see if she was lying. Honestly, I don't know what the right move is anymore. After that phone call where she insisted it was just a mistake, I felt like my head was spinning. I couldn't believe she'd actually lie to my face, act like it was nothing, like it wasn't a big deal. She's always been the kind of girl who's quick with a sarcastic comment, a little bitchy when she doesn't get her way, but this was on a whole other level. I could see the flicker of guilt behind her eyes. She was trying to hide it, but it didn't work. Her voice was calm, too calm, when she said she loved me and it'd never happen again. Yeah, sure. I wanted to scream at her, tell her I'd never trust her again, but I didn't. Instead, I just kept quiet, watching her desperately trying to convince me she was telling the truth. The next few days were pure hell. I kept going over everything I found, trying to make sense of it all. I kept asking myself if I was overreacting or if I should just forgive her and move on. I mean, she's a bitch, yeah, but I loved her. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But then I started noticing more things. She was extra defensive when I asked about her phone, deleting messages, locking her screen. She started avoiding me, giving me short answers, snapping at me for no reason. I could tell she was hiding something, and that made my stomach churn even more. I didn't want to believe she was cheating, but the signs were piling up, and I couldn't ignore them anymore. One night I decided to follow her. I didn't plan on catching her, just wanted to see if she'd slip up again. I waited till she left the apartment, then I followed her in my car. She headed to a downtown hotel, no surprise there. I parked a few blocks away, watching her check in with that bitchy smirk on her face. She looked so confident, so in control. I felt my blood boiling, the betrayal hitting me like a freight train. How could she lie so easily? How could she do this to me just before our wedding? She spent the night there, I was sure of it. I saw her come out in the morning, looking flustered, hurried, like she'd been caught or something. As she got into her car, I saw her text someone, probably Carter again, her thumb flying over the screen with that sneaky look on her face. I was furious, but I also felt broken. I'd never been so humiliated in my life. I'd always thought she was the one, the girl I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And now I didn't know what the hell to do. I kept my distance after that, trying to collect my thoughts. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I couldn't believe I was about to marry someone who'd cheat on me the night before our wedding, with her boss of all people. I wondered how many times she'd lied to my face before I caught her. How many times she'd pretend to be the perfect fiancé, all the while sneaking around behind my back. I started thinking about all the little things she'd said that didn't add up, all the times she'd snapped at me for no reason, the way she'd avoid my gaze lately. It all clicked into place. I was furious, hurt, and honestly, I was ready to call everything off, except part of me still wanted to hear her out to see if there was any way to salvage this mess. But then the thought hit me, what if she was just lying again? What if she was trying to manipulate me into believing her so I'd forgive her? That's when I decided I needed proof, real proof. I couldn't just rely on my gut anymore. I started digging deeper, going through her emails, her social media. I found even more messages. These weren't just harmless flirtations. They were full-blown conversations, plans, secret code words only they understood. It was clear she'd been doing this for a while. The betrayal wasn't just a one-night stand. It was a pattern, a relationship she'd been hiding from me. Honestly, I felt numb. I'd always thought I was a pretty rational guy, but this shattered everything I believed in. I kept asking myself if I should confront her again or just walk away. I was torn between rage and heartbreak, unable to believe the girl I loved could do something so vicious. I kept wondering if I should tell her I knew, or if I should just cut my losses and leave her to her lies. I didn't want to be the guy who gets played like a fool, but part of me still hesitated, hoping I was wrong. Maybe she was just trying to cover her ass, make it seem less serious than it really was. But deep down, I knew the truth, and I hated her for it. After all the evidence I gathered, those messages, the hotel receipts, the deleted texts, I knew I had to confront her again. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. That night I sat her down in our living room, heart pounding, hands trembling. She was her usual bitchy self, smirking like she thought she was the queen of the world, throwing little jabs about how I was overreacting, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. Her tone was sharp, sarcastic, like she was used to playing the victim. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I know about Carter. I know you were with him the night before our wedding. Don't bother denying it." Her face clouded over for a second, then that damn smirk creeped back in. She rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, come on, Jake. It's not like I slept with him. She paused, then threw her hands in the air. "It was one mistake, all right. It's not like I planned to ruin everything. I was stressed and it happened. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for you to find out like this." Hearing her say that like it was some kind of accident really pushed me over the edge. That just a mistake line. That's what she's been saying all along, like she's some innocent victim. It made me furious. I told her, "No, Emily, this isn't a mistake, it's betrayal. You lied to me for months, sneaking around, sending messages, booking a hotel just to cheat on me. How the hell do you call that a mistake?" Her eyes flickered with outrage, then she snapped back, "You're overreacting. I was just having sex with my boss. Big deal. Lots of people do that. It doesn't mean I don't love you." Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I felt sick. I could see how she was trying to twist everything, make it sound like it was nothing serious, just some impulsive thing she regretted. But I knew better. I knew this was more than just a fling. It was a blatant betrayal, one that she tried to hide behind excuses and blame shifting. That's when I realized I couldn't keep going down this road. I had to make a decision. Honestly, I was a mess. My mind was spinning, torn between anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope that maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe she really did regret it. But at the same time, her denial and her bitchy attitude made me want to walk away, to cut her out of my life completely. I felt like I'd been punched so many times I didn't know if I was still standing. I looked at her and I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Not just about this, but about anything. She'd lied so much, I didn't know who she really was anymore. I told her, I need time to think, I can't do this right now. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she hurt me, how betrayed I felt. But I just stood there, staring at her with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. I was trying to hold my composure, but inside I was shattered. I'd never felt so lost. That night marked a turning point. That's when I knew I had to seriously consider whether this relationship was worth saving or if I was better off walking away for good. The pain was relentless, and I could feel it crawling under my skin. I didn't sleep that night, replaying everything, wondering how I got here, and whether I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and anger. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Every time I tried to focus at work, her face kept flashing through my mind. I'd look at my phone, expecting some last-ditch message from her, maybe a desperate apology or a plea to forgive her. But nothing came. It was like she disappeared into the background of my life, and I was left holding the pieces of a shattered future. I kept asking myself if I should just cut her loose, move on, forget about the life we planned. Or should I try to believe her, think maybe she was lying, that she really was just weak, that she loved me and made a huge mistake. The problem was, I knew her well enough to see her personality, and she's manipulative, bitchy, sarcastic, and always trying to blame everyone else for her mistakes. That's what made it so hard to get a straight answer from her. Every time I brought up her affair, she'd flip the script, accuse me of being paranoid or insecure. "You're overthinking," she'd say. "It's just sex, Jake. It doesn't mean anything." Yeah, right. I thought about confronting her again, but honestly I was scared of what I might find out. I'd seen how she lies so easily, how she can spin things so convincingly. Maybe she'd try to turn it around and make me the villain. Maybe I already knew too much and she'd just gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. That's what she's good at, twisting everything, making herself seem innocent. But deep down, I was starting to realize I couldn't trust her anymore, no matter what she said or did. Her whole attitude was bitchy and dismissive, like she thought she was untouchable, like she could get away with anything. I started reaching out to some friends, trying to get advice. Some told me to dump her, that she's not worth the heartbreak. Others said maybe I should give her one more chance, see if she's genuinely sorry, if she really regrets what she did. But honestly, I didn't know what to believe anymore. Every time I thought I was close to making a decision, something else happened to throw me off. I discovered more evidence, hidden emails, more hotel receipts, even flirty texts from her to Carter that I found after digging through her social media. It was endless. All of it added up to one thing: she had been lying and cheating for months, right under my nose. The worst part was I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. That love was fighting with the anger in my chest. I kept asking myself, can I forgive her? Should I try to forget all this, pretend it never happened? Or is that just a stupid idea, setting myself up for more heartbreak? Every day felt like walking on a tightrope. One wrong step and I'd fall into a pit of despair. I wanted to believe she'd change, that she'd realize how much she hurt me, and do whatever it took to fix this. But from what I saw, she was just bitching and lying her way out of it. One night, I finally decided I had to confront her again, this time with everything I'd discovered laid out on the table. I told her I knew about her affair, that I'd seen the messages, the hotel receipts, everything. She just looked at me with that same smirk, like she'd been waiting for me to finally catch her. She said, "Jake, I was just having sex. It doesn't mean I don't love you. I made a mistake, but it's not the end of the world." That's when I snapped. I told her she's a manipulative bitch, that she's ruined everything we ever built. I said I didn't believe her anymore and that I was done playing her game. Her reaction: she got defensive, started yelling, calling me insecure, accusing me of being crazy. She said I was overreacting, that I was jealous or paranoid because she's simply more successful than me. That's typical Emily, blame everyone but herself. I looked at her and I saw how cold and calculating she was. She was trying to guilt me into staying, to make me doubt myself. But I knew I had to be strong. I knew I couldn't keep living in this chaos. It was time to decide whether I was going to fight for this relationship or walk away for good. Honestly, I was exhausted. I felt like I'd been punched so many times, I didn't know which way was up anymore. But I knew I couldn't keep doing this, feeding her lies, questioning everything. It was destroying me from the inside out. The decision didn't come easily, but after that last confrontation, I realized I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I told Emily I needed space, to think, to breathe, to figure out what I really wanted. She looked at me like I'd just kicked her in the teeth, that bitchy smirk gone for once, replaced with genuine anger and frustration. She yelled, called me insecure, accused me of stalking her, said I was paranoid. Honestly, I wasn't even listening anymore. I was too drained. For the next few days, I kept my distance. I stayed with a friend trying to clear my head, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with Carter, heard her. Lying to my face, saw her dismiss everything I found as nothing. The pain was sharp, relentless. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. How could she do this? How could she betray me so blatantly just before our wedding? That was the moment I finally decided I was done. No more lies, no more pretending. I was going to end this once and for all. I scheduled a final talk. I told her she needed to be honest and tell me everything, no matter how much it hurt. When she sat down, her bitchy attitude was gone. She looked desperate, almost pleading. She started crying, saying she was sorry, that she was weak, that she made a terrible mistake and she loved me. She said she'd do anything to fix it, that she'd go to therapy, that she'd stop seeing Carter. I didn't buy any of it. I told her she'd already broken whatever trust we had, and that I couldn't keep living in a lie. I told her she was a manipulative, selfish bitch who'd played me like a fool. That day I finally told her I was calling off the engagement, that I was done, that I did want to see her again. Watching her reaction, her bitchy, angry face crumple, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Part of me wanted to run back, to believe her tears and promises, but I knew better. I'd been stupid enough to trust her, and she'd thrown it all away with her lies and her cheating. I told her I'd be better off without her, that I deserved someone who wouldn't lie and cheat behind my back. And that was that. Now I'm just trying to pick up the pieces. I feel so betrayed, so angry, but also a little relieved that I finally stood up for myself. I've learned a lot from this, mostly that some people are just manipulative, selfish, and full of shit. Don't ever ignore the warning signs and trust your instincts, because I ignored mine for too long. If I could give anyone advice, it's this. Don't settle for someone who disrespects you, no matter how much you love them. Because once that trust is gone, it's almost impossible to get back. And sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away before it destroys you completely. It's been a few weeks since I ended things with Emily, and honestly, it's like I'm slowly starting to breathe again. The initial shock and heartbreak are still there, but the pain isn't as sharp. I find myself waking up without that knot in my stomach, and I'm finally able to focus on myself again. I've cut off all contact with her, no texts, no calls, nothing. Part of me still feels a strange mix of anger and regret, but I know deep down I made the right choice. I deserved better than someone who'd lie, cheat, and manipulate their way through our relationship. Looking back, I realize I ignored a lot of warning signs and I kept making excuses for her because I loved her. That's a mistake I don't intend to make again. Trust is everything in a relationship, and once it's broken like this, it's almost impossible to rebuild. I've learned that the hard way. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I was willing to face the heartbreak, confront her lies, and walk away rather than stay in a relationship built on deception. This experience has changed me. I'm more cautious now, more aware of the red flags. I won't settle for someone who manipulates or uses me for their own selfish needs. I've also realized that I need to trust my instincts more. They're there for a reason. If something doesn't feel right, it probably is. I've been blindsided before, but I won't let that happen again. Most importantly, I've come to accept that sometimes loving someone means knowing when to let go. And that's okay. It hurts, but it's better than living in lies and betrayal. I don't regret loving Emily, but I regret not trusting myself sooner. Now I know my worth, and I'm determined to find someone who respects, values, and truly loves me, someone who won't cheat or lie behind my back. So, for anyone reading this who's going through a similar situation, my advice is simple. Listen to your gut. Don't be afraid to walk away from someone who treats you like an option or a fool. It's better to be alone than with someone who doesn't deserve you. Trust your instincts, value yourself, and never settle for less than you deserve. Because in the end, you're the only one who can truly define your worth, and you owe it to yourself to walk away from anyone who tries to diminish it.